Hello, and welcome to another boundaryful episode of We Only Look Thin. I made up a new word, and my name is Catherine Michael. I have lost over 100 pounds. I've kept it off for over 5 years. I am a Tiny Habits certified coach. I am a Thrive Global certified coach.
Yeah.
I am so full of boundaries.
And full of the beans,
and full of the beans. So many annoying boundaries. Brought to you today with me is
Donald Weigel. I thought you were going to announce a sponsor I didn't know about.
No,
Brought
I was
to you today by Beans.
Beans.
I'm full of them.
The musical fruit.
Oh, please. No.
I set a boundary in recording this part of this episode, and you got kind of annoyed with it. And I said, oh, no. I am happy with my boundaries, and you get to deal with them.
Yeah, no, that's very true. That's very true. You clearly listened to last week's episode. And also, before we get too far away, I'm Donald Weigel.
Hi.
I'm also one of the hosts of this show, and I have been put in my place with respecting Catherine's boundaries. And I have lost about 100 pounds, and I've kept it off for, 5.5 years now.
Good job.
Yeah, we're here to talk about it. One of the crucial parts of that is to establish boundaries in our life. And, we did an episode that ended up being pretty long. I'll just say it, pretty long.
How could we reframe that? It was informative and lengthy.
Yeah, informative and lengthy. I like that. And so we broke it into 2 episodes. And so if you haven't listened to last week's episode... What?
No, just say it. I was just going to say it was like it was a very big episode, and we put the second half in a doggy bag to bring home. And so now you're getting the doggy bag episode.
The doggy bag episode of the show.
Do you know they don't call leftovers doggy bag?
Yeah, I don't know.
In other countries? No. I don't know what they call them, but I just imagine being like, well,
so
here are the leftovers.
They're not doggy bags, but you don't know what they are.
But it's not actually a doggy bag, because it's not like you're getting the leftovers of the things. You're getting a whole new portion, a whole new part that you didn't even experience.
That's such a better...
So let's reframe it.
Better framing. Yes, we talked about boundaries last week, and we gave so much information that we thought we should actually break it into
second
2
course.
episodes.
Second course, there we go.
This is the second part of that, and you can go back, you should go back and listen to the first part. We talked about why boundaries relate to health and fitness, and the fact that, we just sort of want this paint by numbers, perfect diet plan. We want somebody to tell us exactly what to eat and when, but we don't talk enough about about things like boundaries, which are really crucial to achieving a health and fitness goal and really a healthy and fit lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought I just needed the recipe and the right motivation, but it turns out so much of why I was eating was because I didn't share what my needs were with other people, and it built resentment, and it built a really healthy appetite for food and self-destruction.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I came across these 2 articles about setting boundaries and how to do it, and we split them now into 2 episodes, and went through a lot of the steps in the article and made them, our own.
Yeah.
As we like to do.
Exactly. So we are going to pick up right where we left off from last week. Again, go back and listen to last week's episode if you haven't yet, and then pick up right here. And we really hope you enjoy this and get a lot out of it, because, again, boundaries have made so much of a difference in our lives. We did not even know we needed them. And so we think you need them, because we know how much we needed them. So
yes, indeed.
Yep. So here you go. Please enjoy.
Please enjoy.
Please.
Indeed.
Please enjoy.
And then step 3 from the article is to name your limits. And the author says, knowing what a person needs or wants physically and emotionally can help set the appropriate boundaries to accomplish them.
Right. So with my brother, again, that oh, hey, I'm coming into town. That is the perfect time for me next time to say, that's great. Knowing that my time is important to me, I can say I'm available on Monday or Tuesday after 5 p.m. If those times don't work for you, we'll just have to see each other another time. I cannot tell you how much that improved my stress levels, my boundaries, and my eating, because I wasn't putting myself in a situation of being a victim to someone else's schedule. And something simple like that, by just saying like, this is what is going to work for me, really gives you that power to feel in control over your life.
Yeah, and if you're a visual learner, if you're somebody who needs to see something, like the author suggests actually writing it down, and an exercise which I have not, I will admit, done myself, but creating a boundary circle. So you actually, on paper, you draw a circle, and you write inside the circle a list of everything that you need to feel supported, safe, and stress-free. And, look, I think coming up with a comprehensive list might be difficult, but I think, it gets you started in thinking about what you actually need in your life. And then outside the circle, you list things that are conflicts, things that cause you annoyance, difficulty, pain, that go against your beliefs, like things that are in your life, and actually really naming all of that stuff, kind of, not out loud exactly, but naming it can really help you focus on what you need to have changed in your life.
Well, and I think too, for you, Donald, you're definitely you want your time to be spent well. And when you feel like you have wasted your time, you get stressed.
Yes, I do. That is one way to put it.
No, and I do too. It's not. I'm not pointing fingers at you, but knowing that about yourself, knowing what matters to you, even knowing your love languages.
Yeah,
I like to feel appreciated. I like to feel like my time is being spent well.
Right.
Those things matter.
Yeah, and so the next step in the article, which it sounds good and it is great for new relationships, but it is set your boundaries early. And they're saying it is easier to set boundaries early in a relationship so people know each other's limits and expectations. This also avoids frustrations, confusion, and hurt along the way, which is fantastic for new relationships. Like, you start a new job,
right,
or you in a new romantic relationship, or you start hanging out with new friends. But those existing lifelong relationships, like a sibling, yeah, or other family members, or maybe you've had childhood friends that you're still friends with, and you have trouble with boundaries with that person. It's a lot harder to set those boundaries early because you've already had years of not setting them.
Well, and I used to feel like if I put up with something, that I had to own that forever. Like, this is the role that I play. I'm the people pleaser. I'm the family negotiator. I'm the one that is always stopping arguments, that kind of thing. It's really difficult to pull back and feel like you have the right to change your mind about the way relationships work out. And the more I have done that in my life, and the more I recognize that it is okay for me to change my mind, the better my life has become. So when possible, like if you're in the witness protection program and you're starting a new life, sure, those new boundaries can come easy. Like Donald said, if you're starting a new job, you can be like Johnny Assertive.
That might be the key to setting new boundaries is
witness protection.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. So simple. Yeah. Why didn't we think of it sooner?
It's the magic trick we hadn't thought of.
But what I need is, and again, going back to that step one of focusing on yourself and your self-awareness, is that it's okay to stop, give some things some thought, that, boundaries that have been difficult for you, and actually write down, and this is what Donald was saying, like really think about what you need, and knowing how you can express yourself matters. So as the old saying goes, the best time to start a boundary was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now.
Exactly. And so the next step in setting your boundaries is to actually express them.
Ew.
And I know.
No.
This is maybe the hardest part is communicating your boundaries and sharing them with the people with whom you have relationships. Being assertive yet respectful when stating and implementing them is also essential. And the article talks about using I statements. And
ew.
I statements can help the focus on expressing your thoughts, feelings, and opinions without worrying what others are thinking. So you're trying to focus on how certain situations make you feel without openly accusing the other person of crossing your boundary, so that you're trying to talk to them in a way that's not automatically making them defensive.
Right. But think first, too, about how you can best assert yourself. Because I know for me with my brother, he has very strong opinions. He has no problem sharing them. And for me, I can feel a little bit overwhelmed by talking to him face to face. So think about the medium in which you feel most comfortable sharing an opinion, whether it's face to face over a cup of coffee, when things are less escalated. Like a week later for me, I'll be like, hey, you know what? I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about how I was feeling after our last conversation.
Right.
Maybe a text is a way that you feel more comfortable. Writing something down before you actually say it out loud. Sending an email. Hey, this is really hard for me to articulate, so I thought I would just put down my thoughts in an email. Making sure that you know that your way of communicating is okay, and it doesn't need to be like, all right, we're going to, mano a mano, tete-a-tete.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know what another,
get into the squared circle and rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah. So an example of an I statement is, the format sort of is, I feel blank, insert your feeling, when blank because blank. And what I need is blank. And so the example from the article is, instead of saying something like, stop touching my stuff and stay out of my room.
Whoa.
Try.
Yes, sis.
Try. I feel violated when you enter my room and go through my things because I value privacy. What I need is a space that I know is private to record my thoughts. And so a health and fitness example, maybe you're with that crowd, the just one more slice crowd, or the, just one more drink crowd.
The slice crowd.
Yeah. Assuming these are people that you can actually talk to.
It sounds like a gang.
Yeah, right. When I overindulge in food, it makes me feel shame and regret. Or when I overindulge in food, just keep it to, I feel bloated and tired. What I need is for you to stop asking me to eat more when I say I'm full.
Yeah.
Or, if it's constant invites to a food indulgent sort of activity. What I need is to do an activity with you that doesn't involve food.
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about that before with the dinner guest episode that we did recently about you know what, this is really hard for me. Let's do something else, I think is a really good way to manage those. Deciding that there can be steps between no and what I need is this instead. It opens up the conversation for look, I'm not saying that we're never going to see each other, or, you're, pistols at dawn or whatever.
Right.
It's no, this is what I need. And so many other people have an easy time expressing what their needs are. And it's okay for you to process what you do need, how someone else makes you feel, and what you would prefer that relationship to be. It doesn't mean that people are going to respect that
No.
too. It just means that it feels a lot better to say what you need and to have whatever the outcome happen than it does to just bottle it up and then move to California instead of answering your telephone, which is something that I did maybe 27 years ago or so. I'm just saying as an example.
As a random example.
As for an example.
From, a made-up example. But, using that example, speaking of random made-up examples, we had talked about earlier in the show, people commenting on your food choices or portion sizes. Somebody saying, are you going to eat all that?
Well, and I've gotten that for decades, and it made me second guess my food choices, the plans that I was doing. I had to over-explain why I had made a choice about something. And for me, it was are you going to eat all that? I can't believe you're hungry already. Didn't we just have breakfast? Is that on your plan? All of those second-guessing type things led me personally to secret eat.
Yeah. So, doing these I statements, an example might be, when you comment on my food choices and portion sizes, I feel judged and it makes me want to secret eat. What I need you to do is not comment on my food choices.
Exactly. And that was a huge one. And the more I was direct and specific about how it affected me, it actually really helped me understand my own impulses, because I was eating in secrecy because I felt judged. So stop judging me And then I don't have to secret eat anymore. And the more emboldened I am to make choices for myself. I recently went to go visit a relative who eats at different frequencies than I do and less food. And it was really important for me to flex that muscle of I'm going to eat when I want to eat, because if I don't, it's going to make me secret eat. I need to assert my hunger and my volume of food and not, make myself feel judged by the other person because they're eating differently. We don't all go to the restroom at the same time. We don't all sleep at the same time.
Yeah.
We don't, you can't be cold. It's not cold in here. Don't you wear a sweater? It's the same thing with volume of food. Assert your boundaries and your relationships will actually improve. And some of the dread might even go away.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Okay, so there are several more steps here. We're going to try and go through these a little more quickly. But the next one is to start small. And this can seem overwhelming, and you don't have to start with the biggest, most difficult boundary in your life.
Right. Don't go into like the boardroom of your, corporation and be like, I got something to say to you, people.
Right. Don't do the, what's the Tom Cruise movie where he goes in and like loudly
Show
quits.
me what you got.
Yeah. Show me what you got.
No, wait, what is that movie?
Show me the money.
Show me the money.
I can't remember the name of it now.
Moneyball? No.
Yeah, he goes
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. Yeah,
Sorry.
you don't go in and give the giant Jerry Maguire speech and start your own agency.
Yeah, what have I done?
But if you find it really difficult, you 100% deserve to say no without feeling guilty. But again, it can take practice. Start by setting a small boundary in a space that feels more manageable and work your way up. And it's tiny habits to the rescue again.
Yay. Dun, 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 dun. So for me, I know I started with, they usually don't get my Starbucks order right. And I was like, I don't want to bother anyone. Like, I'll just drink the drink. I hate matcha, but here I go. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But actually being like, you know what? I deserve to have the beverage that I just paid $19 for. So I'm going to go back and order it. So, hey, can you remake this? And they'll say, okay, fine. So start with something super small, and that is okay. Also for me, the biggest thing for me in all of this is being able to pause between a response. So a lot of times we get emails or we're in interactions with people where they ask us to do something or they demand something of us. And a lot of times all we need is permission to pause and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to need to think about this. Let's circle back on this later. This isn't a great time for me. I need to think this over. Let me give it some thought.
Yeah, this is a really great important one. You can say, look, I really need to check my calendar.
Yeah, that is a huge one.
In certain circumstances.
Hey, what are you doing this Friday?
I feel like I had some plans, but let me get back to you.
Hey, what are your plans this weekend?
Yeah. Oh
Why are you asking?
Yeah, I had a very good friend text me out of the blue, who doesn't live in this city, text me out of the blue recently and say, do you have any plans this weekend? And it freaked me out.
But it's okay instead of saying hey, we need somebody for the committee. Instead of just saying oh yeah, sure, I can do that. You with that high pitched yes means no thing is just to say, I'm going to need more information on this. Hey, let me look at my calendar. I'm going to need to get back to you. It's okay to pause and give it some thought so that you can gather your thoughts and then maybe ask more questions. I need more information before I can give you an answer.
Yeah. And if you don't feel comfortable saying no, or in order to build up to being comfortable saying no, you can also offer alternatives that you're comfortable with instead of outright saying no. You don't want to do the initial thing that the person has asked you to do. You can, offer a different suggestion. Hey, instead of going to the all-you-can-eat cake buffet, why don't we go for a walk at the local botanical garden
Yeah,
instead.
I'd love to spend time with you, but that's not going to work for me. Hey, that's not a great date for me. Oh, but what I can do is this. I can't chair the committee, but if you need someone to put together a poster on PowerPoint, I don't know, do people use PowerPoint?
Yes, they use PowerPoint to make their posters.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could do that. Decide what part of it you can do and get some agency back. Or you know what? That's not my priority right now. Thank you for thinking of me, but that's not going to work.
Yeah. And then the next step in this is to be comfortable with saying no. And again, it may take a long time and a lot of practice, but setting boundaries involves learning to say no and being comfortable with not explaining your decision. Like you necessarily owe people an explanation for why you don't want to do something. Like it's okay to not want to do something and to just say no, you don't want to do it.
Because when you're saying no to someone else, you're saying yes to you.
That's right.
Yay. And doesn't that feel good? Really?
It does.
Hey, guess what? Me saying no, I don't want to do that. I'm saying yes to me. Isn't that fun for me?
It's really fun for you.
You can freak them out.
Yeah. And then the next step is be consistent in upholding your boundaries. And, this is becoming a recurring theme. Setting boundaries takes time and repetition. And other people may not always know or understand what you need. So if you communicate them and remind other people about your decisions, you can reinforce them and develop respect and trust within your relationships.
Yeah. And for me too, that if they ask 7 times, they know that on the 8th time I'll say yes. So just being consistent and asserting that boundary really makes a difference over time. It can be difficult. We have setbacks, just like we do in all parts of our lives. But the more practice we put in saying no or changing our mind. Hey, I know I said yes, but actually I've given it some more thought and the answer is no, thank you.
Yeah.
That's also okay.
Those are great opinions. And then the next step is to be direct, clear, and simple. So when you're setting and enforcing your boundaries, state what you need as clearly and calmly as possible. You don't need to justify or defend or apologize for your boundaries. And you get to decide how assertive to be depending on what the relationship is with the other person. If you are nervous and sensitive about certain boundaries, you can even, practice what you're going to say before you say it, which I do at least in my head all of the time so that I'm not just sort of spontaneously trying to fumble for words in the moment.
Right. And for me, totally that brevity leads to simplicity. If I dance around it and by the end of a conversation, nobody actually knows what I want because I'm like, well, we've got this thing and there's this blah, 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 blah. And while I was thinking and I've got my ankle hurts a little bit, people don't actually know. But no, and I do this. And unlike our podcast episodes that are very, very long, we could just start up by saying no.
Yeah.
Just no is fine. Don't need to explain myself. Talk to the hand. You could say, why not?
Absolutely. Talk
Bring
to
that
the hand
back.
Because the woman does not understand.
Exactly. And what is the final?
The final one
thing
is
we can do?
Get support. If you really find it difficult to set boundaries, and if you just can't do this on your own, reach out to someone you trust or to a mental health professional and get them to help you create and establish boundaries. And this sort of backup can also take the form of a support group like WOLT Place.
We Only Look Thin Place is a place for accountability and support on Facebook for women. It is often difficult to even break apart or understand our boundaries, and having the support of other people to help you process and examine your boundaries really does matter. Also, therapists, trusted friends.
Yeah, a spiritual community, friends, family, but again, there are also, if it really is a struggle for you, mental health professionals are trained in doing this sort of thing.
Yeah, and it can be, and just as we're finishing this up, it can be really difficult to feel like you deserve space in your life. Donald spent so many years compromising our choices and our needs and our values to accommodate other people. And sometimes, sure, we want to be agreeable agreeable. We want to get along. We want to make things easy. And it's easy to be passive in our lives. It's easy to take a back seat in decision making because it makes the problem about other people instead of ourselves. But the more we can empower ourselves to understand what we need, what our values are, what our boundaries are, and what we actually want to fill in our life instead of just have all of our time taken up by other people's agendas, the better we feel and the less we rely on food for satisfying those feelings of value or commitment. The more we practice, the easier it becomes. And I promise the more you practice, the better you will feel in your body, in your current body, who you are, and being able to focus on what you need, which is healthier relationship with food, your health, and the people around you. I'm a better version of myself now than I was before because I do have better boundaries and I'm a happier person.
Yeah.
I'm not as negative as I used to be.
For sure. Absolutely. And speaking of value and commitment, thank you so much for committing to listening to this episode. We've added extra value this week. This is probably the longest episode we've done in a long time. So it's almost like you got 2 episodes for the price of one this week.
For your ears.
Yeah, absolutely. If you liked this episode, you can listen to all of our episodes still. We have over 275 other episodes, over that many, available wherever you found this podcast. We are on all of the major podcast platforms and also anytime on our website. They're all posted there at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep. And if you are at weonlylookthin.com, you can click on that link for Join Our Support Group to find out more about WOLT Place, our Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are not a weight loss plan. We have people doing lots of different programs, but we are a place for community and fellowship and understanding. It can be really difficult to navigate weight loss with people who are super judgmental, our families, whatever, who don't really understand what we're doing. But in WOLT, we're all doing different plans. Some of us are doing the same plans, but we are there to support one another and share the experience together. We have 2 subscription options, a monthly option with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if WOLT Place is right for you. We do Zoom meetings. We have subgroups to focus on different areas and focus. We do habit trackers, and it's just a super supportive community. So we would love if you would give us a chance.
Yeah, and the Zoom meetings are really terrific. You get Catherine, essentially not exactly one-on-one, but, face to face over the internet and, have direct access to her and asking questions. And, really, I don't know if I could have done this without you, dear, without Catherine. I feel like I have learned so much along the way, but a lot of it was, learned from you, and I'm still learning from you all the time. So go ahead and check out WOLT Place. Or if you want to interact with us in other ways, you can find us on social media. We are at We Only Look Thin on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Or you can email us. We have a Gmail, which is weonlylookthin@gmail.com. We love compliments. We love episode suggestions, and we will answer questions there. We have turned many listener questions into episodes of this show. So if you feel like dropping us a line, send it to weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep. And if you have a couple of extra minutes, you could head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and a review. Not only does it let us know that what we're doing is making a difference in your life, but it also helps with the internet zeros and ones and the ones and twos. I don't know what numbers are included, binary things.
Ones and zeros, and we're on the ones and twos right now.
But it helps algorithms for people to find us when they are looking for inspirational and supportive podcasts like ours. So please take a minute to do that if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
And also thank you if you have told somebody about the show. If you haven't, we would really appreciate if you did.
I thought you were going to say no thank you. And if you haven't, What are you waiting for?
Exactly. Act now for this limited time offer. Tell somebody about the show and help us out. We are grateful for because word of mouth is really one of the best ways in which the show grows. And word of mouth can take the form of you talking to somebody face to face, or over a Zoom, or even on the interweb. If you're in a Facebook group or a Reddit group or a Discord server, and it is weight loss and fitness appropriate. If you give us a shout out, that really helps us out a lot, and we would be grateful.
Yeah, if it's like a chain letter, like tell 10 people about WOLT Place, or you will get, I don't know, guilty.
Or 7 days, a woman comes out of a well and
oh no,
terrifies you.
That's
I don't
not
know.
Good.
Yeah.
So if you're super afraid that a woman is going to come out of a well if you don't tell 10 people about We Only Look Thin, just remember that Donald and I are, an inspiration.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.